let's say that you've got a manuscript that you think is wonderful. Your husband tells you it's wonderful, or your wife, or your boyfriend or girlfriend, your mom tells you it's magnificent, and you think it's ready to submit. Spelling is perfect, punctuation is perfect. It's a nice, neat, clean manuscript, which is easy to do today with word processors and printers as good as they are. So what are you going to do with it? Well, you got to get it perfect, and you need to submit it to publishers. Now, you can submit it directly to publishers. Some won't take unagented manuscripts, which brings up the subject of agents. There are agents in the business, unless you've been living in a hole while you've been writing this book and not reading anything about the book business, how to get your book published. There are agents out there. Agents are in the business of selling manuscripts to publishers. There's also film agents, guys that sell screenplays. There's theatrical agents. There's every kind of agent you can imagine. But in this business, they're called literary agents, and they look at your work. They say this is magnificent, and they go sell it. The odds are that they're going to look at your work, and unless they think it's a laydown, unless they think that it is going to be so easy to sell, they won't entertain it. The reality is it's probably harder to get an agent than it is to find some editor who's interested in your book. How do you get to an editor? The best way is to go to writers' conferences, I think, unless your brother-in-law happens to know an editor and is obligated for some reason to read whatever your brother-in-law recommends to him. You got to go find an editor at a writers' conference. They usually have 10-minute sessions where you can sit down with them. You make an appointment for Saturday afternoon with them. Their Saturdays are full of nothing but editor appointments and agent appointments. You can sit down with them also, and you go pitch your book, and they'll say, sounds good, or I've got 23 other books waiting there just like it, or I just published a book just like it, or we're out of money for the year. Or they might say, that sounds very interesting. Why don't you send me 3 chapters? You also, even though you might have already been invited, or if you haven't been invited or just sending a manuscript in cold, you need to cover it with a query letter. A query letter is a quick letter about your book, about why you think it's wonderful, why you think it's marketable. And that query letter needs to be short. Editors don't have a lot of time. If you walk in an editor's office in New York, there's stacks of manuscripts around the desk, almost as tall as the editor in many instances. So they have to be, much like your book has to hook them in the beginning, your query letter certainly has to hook them and get them to read that manuscript so they can say it's wonderful, and so they can make you an offer. Hopefully an offer you can't refuse. So there's agents, and there's, in the legitimate business now we're talking about, the legitimate publishing business, there's editors and agents, both ways to sell your book. Win a contest, win a writing contest, that will get it noticed. Again, go to conferences, submit your book, enter contests, submit your book untiringly to agents, and above all, have a thick skin, because unless you're extremely rare, you're going to get a lot of rejections. And if you heard authors say, I had enough rejections to paper my wall, well, I did have enough. I have had enough rejections to paper my wall. I still get rejections, even after 20 published books. It's not an easy business. It's very, very difficult. A legitimate publisher is going to invest a lot of money in you. If they buy your book, they want to know they got a hit. Let's go on to another subject.